Hello, assalamu alaikum guys. Here we are going to start with the last lecture number 7 for the design. Today we are going to be discuss about the component of the bridge, that is the floor beam and its design criteria. So only the load analysis is required to be done over here, and for that particular case the criteria will be reverse of the stringer design, in which first of all we have to do the longitudinal distribution of the live load and then transverse distribution. How we are going to be do that? So one by one we will study. Only the interior floor beam is designed and the same section is provided for the exterior floor beam. So for the floor beams there is no proper, you can say, distinction between the interior or the exterior. So you can apply the loading at the mid of the span for lateral and longitudinal, and you can design the interior floor beam and the same section, because with regards to the floor beams, again this concept is different. Your interior stringers are you can say less critical as compared to the exterior, if we talk about the stringers. But if we talk about the floor beams, then for the floor beams the interior floor beams are more you can say critical for the design as compared to the exterior. So once we are going to be designing the interior floor beam, the same section you can provide for the exterior. So no need to be cross check for that, for the design like your stringer design, in which you have done the design and you have checked the movement capacities for the interior and exterior both. Okay, so here it is not necessary, not required. Just what you can do only the load analysis for the interior floor beam, and the same you can provide for the exterior. All loads will be assumed to be concentrated at the location of the stringers. So those locations where stringers are located. So if we going to be draw the longitudinal plan, if we going to be draw the plan in the direction of the traffic loads, so here if it is the direction of the traffic, then these are the stringers. I am going to show it with the help of a line diagram. So these are the longitudinal members. So your floor beams are lateral to those. So what does it means? That your stringers are resting on the floor beam. So here is the contact area. This contact area of stringer and the floor beam is very important. So in the form of concentrated load, point loads, all of the reactions from the stringers will be considered to be transferred to the floor beams. Okay, so you have to be very careful about these particular contact points where your stringers are actually resting on the floor beam. Rest will be the UDL, the self load of the floor beam. Okay, so for the slab, already the slab load you have considered to be acting on the stringer. So the stringer dead load and all of the loadings, the live load, truck loads and other type of the loadings, lane loads, are going to be coming on the floor beam through this contact point. Okay, so these locations where the stringers are resting on the floor beam, this contact point is very important for the design of the floor beam. The simply supported reactions from the stringers by taking their actual self weights are applied as concentrated load to the floor beam, acting as a dead load. That's what I have told you. So simply the reactions coming from the stringers, you have to be transferred on that particular point of the floor beam where those are acting. Okay, so by taking their actual self weights. At first, once you were designing or doing the analysis for the stringers, you were not known with the section of the stringer. So very rough idea, I mean 10% of it or like this you have considered as a dead load of the stringer. But now you have designed the stringer, so you are known with the section weight and its own dead weight, whole weight. So this dead load of the stringer you are known with it, and now with the known dead loads of the stringer you can apply it on the floor beam on that particular point. And these are applied as a concentrated load on the floor beam, acting as a dead load. So you can consider these as a dead load. Of course, you have to be considered the self weight of the floor beam also in the dead load part. So your DW will be separate as you have done for the stringer, and DC will be different. So the suitable value for the self weight of the floor beam is assumed. That's what I have told you. Okay, so other than the dead load, including the reactions from the stringers, you have to consider the self weight, and it will be of course the assumed one. Dead load movement and the shear are calculated DC, MDC. These are as you have calculated for the stringers, and these will be VDC. So longitudinal distribution of the V load. So it is going to be ending with the case when you are calculating DC part of it. Now Coming to the live load calculation, longitudinal distribution of the wheel load is considered first to calculate an equivalent load applied on the floor beam in the lateral direction. So first what you have to do the longitudinal distribution. So longitudinal distribution will be in the case of the floor beam in the direction of the stringers. If this is the floor beam and you are cutting one cross section, so here if it is one stringer and you are cutting one cross section over here, this one, so in a cross section you will see this stringer, okay. So and below the stringer, now this will be a floor beam, this one, okay. So in this in the lateral direction, so this will be the stringer in longitudinal direction and here will be the floor beam in the lateral direction. So if you are going to be cut its section, floor beam will be below, of course, sorry. So here you are going to be cut across the longitudinal section. We show you with the continuity of the floor beams and with the continuity of the length of the stringer in the both of the direction. So if just this part you are going to be consider, so here you can make a cross section, and this cross section is going to be show you the one floor beam, let's suppose here this point, and this is the stringer that is passing just resting on the floor beam. So here we are going to be considered the wheel load. So this particular wheel load you are considering by placing your vehicular in longitudinal direction. This is going to be called as your longitudinal distribution. So if you are going to be place your wheel load, your live load along the stringer, along the length, it will be the longitudinal distribution for the floor beam, and then you are going to be moving in the lateral direction, okay. Then consider the lateral part of it, all of the other loads, okay, on the floor beams, one floor beam, okay. So this equivalent longitudinal, after the longitudinal distribution you are going to be calculate the equivalent load, and these equivalent loads you are going to be applying in the lateral direction. Then it will be your lateral distribution of the live load will be called as. So the loads are placed along the length of the bridge, same direction as that of the stringer, to get maximum simply supported reactions at the floor beam level, as shown in the following figure. The same figure with more elaborated form you can see in the coming slide. So here you can see the same thing. So if it is the stringer, you can see, okay, so including the deck slab. So below that you can see the floor beams. So this is the longitudinal section, so where you can cut a floor beam and you can see it. So these are in this particular cross section, it is the continued from both of the sides, so you can see 3 floor beams over here. So these floor beams will be going to be considered the wheel load in by placing your vehicle in longitudinal direction, okay. So below that it will be axle will be in the lateral direction, mean 2 wheels, so this will be axle. So one wheel is going to be considered to be placed on the stringer in longitudinal direction, okay. The procedure is adopted for both axle and tandem loads, and the greater value is used as an equivalent wheel load applied on the floor beam for the lateral distribution of the live load, okay. So for the longitudinal distribution you are doing the procedure for both axle and tandem, and for the lateral, out of these two the larger one is going to be considered in the lateral live load distribution. For transverse distribution of the load, the equivalent loads calculated by the longitudinal distribution are placed transversely along the length of the floor beam with the proper clearances and conditions to obtain the maximum bending moments as illustrated in the following figure. So wherever the word maximum effect of the forces or the maximum bending moments in shear will come, there what you have to do, you have to apply the you have to use the ILDs, okay, influence line diagrams, those diagrams for the movement and for the shear, and you have to multiply the loads, vehicular loads, mean these loads we have already calculated equivalent load in this particular case, calculated by the longitudinal distribution. So for the lateral distribution or transverse distribution, you have already the equivalent loads already calculated, those you have to be placed along the length of the member in lateral direction, length of the floor beam in the lateral direction, and now you are going to be you're going to be draw the movement ILD and shear ILD, and from there you are multiplying your equivalent loads with the ordinates to get the maximum movement. So here you have to remember this thing. This is by the AASHTO standard specification. So where you have to do the transverse distribution of the wheel load to obtain the maximum floor beam bending moments. What will be the criteria? So for that, this is one floor beam, and here you are going to be placing for the transverse distribution your load, vehicular loads, and this is actually going to be show you the wheel. Okay, so this is axle, one axle. So in longitudinal direction, in the back direction where stringers be there, you have to be show this in the form of wheels. Okay, number of the wheels or number of the axles will be more. So here only one axle is shown. This clearance distance from the center of the floor beam. Okay, this is the actually for the roadway between 5.4 meters and less than 14.4 meters. So where you are going to be deciding about the roadway. Okay, if the roadway width is between 5.4 and 14.4, then you are going to be deciding the lanes, 2 lanes, and these 2 lanes are going to be incorporating, of course, 2 vehicles coming there, but this clearance should be standardized. Here any distance be there depending upon the total roadway width or the lane width, but you have to be careful about this clearance. If you are going to be exactly center your total roadway width, then from the center of the roadway width or the core width, you are going to be taking the center of the wheel. This distance is equal to 0.6 meters. So from the center of the wheel of one axle, this distance be taken as 0.6 meters. Okay, this is total floor beam length, span of the floor beam, and you are just this span of the floor beam is equal to the span of the roadway width, including the clearances. Okay, so on this particular side. So here this clearance will be equal to 0.6 meter from the center for both of the vehicular loads or the wheel loads you are considering. So this is for the bending moment. The actual arrangement may be different depending upon the span of the floor beam, mean number of the lanes. So truck equal to the design lanes must be placed on the span. So if the number of the lanes on one floor beam, this is the length or the span of the floor beam in lateral direction. So if the number of the lanes will be more, let's suppose 3, so you have to consider the 3 trucks placed on all of the loads. So this is going to be represent the wheel load. Okay, so in this way the axle you have to be considered for the truck loading in just applying on all of the lanes. So here the figure showed in the next slide arrangement of the trucks for the 2 design lanes, and following the figure B, the next figure will show you the arrangement for the 3 design lanes. So for the design lanes more than 3, the similar procedure you have to adopt it. Whatever will be given in for the 2 design lanes and 3 design lanes, you have to be do for the more cases. So here we can see that the roadway between the 10.8 meter and less than 14.4, so we can accommodate 3 design lanes in this 10.8 meters starting from this in between this roadway width. So if the 3 design lanes be there, so we are well familiar with the design lane width, it is minimum 3.6 meters. So to accommodate this 3.6 meters, so these vehicular loads we can adjust like this, that is 0.9 if we are going to be exactly make a mid of this roadway width, and from center of it one wheel should be exactly 0.9 meters on one side and on this one axle, so 0.9 meters on the other side. So this should be a total 1.8. So to make it 3.6, you will be left for the clearance of this axle load on both of the sides with 0.9 and 0.9. So 0.9 over here and 0.9 over here. Okay, so again you can make half of it to make this total clearance from center of the one truckload to the wheel of the truckload to the other. So here it is again 0.9. Okay, for the other truck, and also for this it will be 1.8. So it will be for the central, you have to take the standard for the center design lane, this 0.6. so rest will be anyone, because you have to adjust the curb over here and clearances for the trusses and the plate girder over here, so it will be anyone. We are only interested for the internal, so just adjust for the 3 design lane central one, the rest dimensions will be adjusted automatically. So it will be 0.9 and 0.9. so total clearance from one wheel consecutive truck wheel axle, so axle wheel, so it will be 1.8 total. Okay, So in this way you are going to be adjusting the distances for the analysis. For the transverse distribution, you are going to be using the multiple reduction factor based on the similar criteria you have used for the stringer. Maximum live load movement and shear for the truck loads are calculated, and then the sidewalk load movements and the shear are also calculated. Calculation are also made for the lane load movements. Okay, so live load हो गए आपके पास, sidewalk movements हो गई, and then lane loads. Finally, the factored ultimate moment and shear are calculated using this particular formula. This will be the same as of the stringer. Design the floor beam considering the compact and the braced section, and you have to apply all the checks as in the stringer design. So starting with the previous example, continuing with the previous example, so step by step we are going to be solve this for the floor beam load analysis. So step number 1 will be the dead load DC. So for the DC calculations, first of all the dead load reactions from the stringers. So as the stringers are going to be give you the different dead load conditions, then for the interior and exterior, similarly the reactions for one floor beam, if this is one floor beam, so this is going to give you in longitudinal, this is the cross section, so in lateral direction. So the for one floor beam the stringers are resting in longitudinal direction. This will be the exterior. For our case, total number of stringers we have designed 5, 3 internal and 2 external. So here you have internal stringers resting on the floor beam. So in this way these stringers, so from each stringer this reaction is needed to be calculated. Okay, so the other side of these stringers are resting on the next floor beam. Okay, like this. So half of the reaction will be on this floor beam, half of the reaction will be on this floor beam. So we are interested only one floor beam and all of these reactions in the form of concentrated loads. So in two parts we are going to be calculate, and then finally we are adding it up for the dead loads, that is for the interior, externals, exterior separately and interior separately. So for whatever we will get from the exterior stringer, that as in the form of concentrated load will act on the floor beam, and whatever we will calculate from the interior stringers in the form of a concentrated load will be acting on the floor beam in the mid. So starting from the interior stringer, okay, these three, so the calculation will be the same. For one you will calculate the same, you will apply at 3 points. So for both transverse side of the floor beam, these interior stringers, so it will be total span is 7.6. So for this case you have 10.27, one factor. First of all, this first quantity is the DC coming from the stringer. So if you will go back in the stringer calculation, and there if you are going to be go for the load analysis for that DC part of the interior stringer, then this DC you have already calculated in kilonewtons. Okay, kilonewton per meter. So that DC is part is 10.27. So calculations are not needed to be do over here, that you have already done for the stringer load analysis. Directly take for the interior stringer load part where you have calculated the dead load DC part. From there only the DC quantity you have to be consider and make this first term of this equation. Second is the actual self weight of the interior stringer. Okay, you have designed, it is already with you, W whatever and 125, it is 9.81 divided by 1000. So in this way now actual self load you have to consider. This will be your second term. Okay, and third is the DW. Similarly 3.80 is the 3W you have already calculated for the interior stringer in DW part. So take it and put over here. So for the span of your floor beams it will be multiplying with the 7.6. So finally you are getting your answer as 116.3 kilonewtons. So you have now shifted or converted from the interior stringer all of the components of the DC in the form of DC, in the form of DW, in the form of self weight, and finally you are getting this component as a reaction from the interior beam to be acting on the floor beam. Then comes dead load reactions from the exterior stringer. So similarly 15.39 is the DC for the exterior stringer DC part, and then 125 will remain same because we have provided the same section for the exterior and interior stringer. Then comes 1.90. Obviously it will be different for the load analysis of the exterior stringer, and where you have calculated the DW, multiplying with the span of the floor beam, and it comes out to be 140.8 kilonewtons. So here in this equation, DC part and DW part, write it separately, okay, because we need it later on for the load analysis of DC part and DW part. So once you are going to be analyzing your floor beam for the MDC you are calculating, or VDC, you have to use the concentrated load just DC part, and where you are will calculating the DW, you have to use this 14.5. so use show in your equation separately DC and DW part. So this is completely DC self-weight plus actual DC, and this will be DW. Write it separately because these both will be used later on. Then total span of the floor beam. This is very important because the floor beam is not only its own, you can say, span, that is 7.6 like this, but it is also going to be including the clearances, okay, and also including the curve width and other things. So that what is going to be decide about the floor beam span. So you have the deck width, that is needed to be added up, okay. The deck width will be 4 into 2.3, that we have already calculated. Then comes the clearance up to the center of the trusses, okay. This is all going to be including the curve and all the lane widths and etc. So it is going to give you the deck width as a whole, okay, in lateral direction. This is the floor beam. So if we are going to be provide the support for the floor beam on both of the ends and considering it as a simply supported beam, then this span is very important, okay. So this span is going to be including the deck width, including the curve of course, and finally you have to be add up. Let's suppose your deck or your curve is ending over here, okay, but your trusses that you have been placing or the plate girder you are placing below, those are going to be below or above or in between depending upon type of the bridge. So those are going to be placed, the center of the plate girder, let's suppose if you are using, so the center of the flange is going to be needed to be placed over here, okay. So this is also going to be needing certain space to place or just to be use your plate girder over here. So that particular clearance is very important. In case of trusses, this is used very smaller because the sections used for the trusses panels, upper chord and bottom chord, are very small, but for the plate girders it is going to be used a little bit larger, okay. This example actually has been formulated for the trusses placed at the corners. This is truss bridge, but as what I have told you that you have to be converted into plate girder, okay. So and similar you have to do for your design. So for this particular case, this clearance you have to be increased, okay. Use this clearance as 300 millimeter, okay, or 400, 300 to 400, any value will be suitable. So maximum, if you are larger, you can say load is very large and you are expecting the plate girder flanges width much more larger, then you can use the 400. But if you are considering it reasonable loads and you are considering it as an average width of the plate girder, then you can use it at 300. But 0.25 or 250 millimeter is not reasonable to use the plate girder. For the trusses is okay, but for the plate girder it's not okay, okay. So you have to be use the value from 300 to 400, and for the safer side you can use this as 400 or 350 airwind, 350, okay, like this. So for your case also, when you are doing your design, so this clearance you can use as 350 millimeter, okay. So I mean from 350 to 400 you have to use. So anywhere, let's suppose you are considering it as 350, so it will be 0.35. So 2 times mean on both of the sides, and this is going to be finalized total span of the floor beam for the further calculation. So here total dead load on the floor beam you can calculate. by considering the total dead load of the exterior and interior both stringers. This is interior stringer, this is exterior stringer. So 2 exterior stringers, so you have to multiply the load calculated already, dead load, with 2, and 3 are the internal, so you have to multiply it with 3. So in your design problem, once you are be doing, so whatever the number of the stringers be there, depending upon those, this part will be changed. So finally you are getting the total dead load as 630.5 kilonewtons coming on the floor beam. So including in this dead load, you have to be assume the self weight. That is, of course, generally we are considering it as 10% of the dead load of the UDL. So it comes out to be 5.5 kilonewton per meter. So keep this self weight also with you. Now coming to the calculations, load analysis, main starting from the DC part. The DC component of the dead load calculated above are placed on the floor beam like in the figure to calculate MDC and VDC with simple bending moment diagram and the shear force diagram. Okay, this is not going to be including the maximum effect. You are familiar with that. So maximum effect we will consider in the transverse distribution. For the floor beam, I have told you earlier. So here, for this particular case, once you are doing the longitudinal distribution, for that particular part, you are only going to be using simple bending moment diagram and the shear force diagram to calculate the maximum. So for this particular case, you can see the loads coming on this total span of the floor beam. This is not 7.6 now. This is including the curb width, the roadway width, and including the clearances. Okay, so this is the total, you can say. So here you are going to be applying the load coming from the stringer. So you can see that the first exterior stringer is lying over here. That particular part is left to accommodate the trusses or the plate girders. Okay, so your first exterior stringer is inside of it, and anywhere here you may have the curb, depending upon that your exterior stringer is inside the curb, if it is inside the roadway, or it is just at aligning with the curb. Okay, that doesn't matter over here. Okay, so anywhere you may have curb in this particular part. ये जो आपका part है 1150. So in this particular region you may have the curb anywhere, and depending upon the stringer location. But this clearance 1150 is available from the center of the exterior stringer to the extreme edge of your floor beam to accommodate the curb, to accommodate the plate girders or the trusses, the main supporting element for the bridge. In between will remain same, that you have already designed these spacings 2.3. Okay, so multiplied by 4 was the roadway width we have calculated earlier. Okay, including then the clearance and all other things. Now what is this 87.4 and 126.3? I have told you, go to the previous slide, where for the calculation of the DC, mean the dead loads, you have been separating the DC part and DW part. As what I have told you, this is not the total dead load. This is to calculate the total dead load. I have told you, just distribute your equation into 2 terms, one DC and one DW. So out of this, DC part is needed to be calculated for exterior stringers like here, and for the interior stringer. So this is all DC part of the equation, and this is DW part. We will consider it later on. So here only the DC part. So apply it on the total span. So here are the reactions. You can say it is RA, two extremes of the floor beams. So you can calculate the reactions now very easy. You have all of the loads with you. So this reaction come out to be 257.4 kilonewton. Central movement adding the self weight movement. So if you are going to be calculated it MDC, so simply WL square by 8 for the UDL, and for others simply divided by 2. So it is going to give you the final movement at the center. Central movement will be the maximum movement for the bending moment diagram. You are familiar with that. So this is concentrated load acting downward, and UDL. So simply the central movement will be your final maximum movement. Then comes VDC. Similarly, the shear force diagram you can plot, and you can find out the maximum at the reaction part. So it will be like this. So this you can calculate by yourself also. Now this figure is now for the DW part, as what I have told you, the second term of this equation to calculate the total dead load. So here from the second term DW, as I have told you, so take all of the values. For the exterior stringers 14.5, and for the interior it will be 28.9. Okay, so in this way rest dimensions and other things will remain same. So similarly you are going to be calculate the reactions and movements. Okay, so MDW and VDW are needed to be calculated. So keep this MDW VDW with you. Now come truck loading forces. Okay, for the longitudinal forces, first of all the axial load needed to be converted into wheel loads. Okay, as what I have told you. So if this is the plan of your bridge, so your wheel or your vehicle truck load, let's suppose having 3 axle. Okay, so this is axle, here you have the wheel. This is the actual picture of your one truck load. Okay, so at the end of the axles, each axle you have one load. So this is the axle load, okay, that you have been already calculated. So if you are going to be make half of it, it will be one wheel load. Okay, so one wheel load will be the axle load divided by 2. So if you are going to be see from here, mean longitudinal distribution you are doing along the stringer for your floor beam, so you are only seeing one wheel. The second wheel will be in the lateral direction, so we are not considering those, but effect of this wheel you are considering over here. Okay, and you are shifting over here, sorry, from here to here you have to shift. First of all, make axial load half, apply axial load, or sorry, convert axial load into wheel load by making half of it. Okay, that particular wheel load is going to be applied on the stringer in longitudinal direction. This will be your longitudinal distribution, and then further this equivalent loads that you will calculate will be transferred in the lateral direction to consider again as an axial load. Okay, so in this way, the first of all longitudinal distribution considering the wheel load by making half of the axial load. Okay, you will calculate the equivalent loads. Those equivalent load in the form of axial load you are going to be shifting in the lateral direction, in this particular direction. So first of all this direction, and then the equivalent loads will be considered as an axial load, not the actual axial load. The equivalent load as an axial load will be shifted, will be transferred in the lateral direction to do the lateral distribution of the loads. See how we do. So to get the maximum effects, we have seen in the previous slides that how to place your truck loading. So axle load, half of it 72.5, and last one, mean front wheel 17.5. So the W equivalent, the equivalent load of this whole load is on the floor beam is needed to be calculated, because whole of the effect is going to be transferred over here, and that W equivalent will be the maximum effect of all these. So if you are going to be draw the bending moment diagram, okay, considering this central floor beam. So this ordinate multiplied by this wheel load, this ordinate multiplied by this wheel load, this ordinate multiplied by this wheel load. This will be the maximum forces, mean movement, and of course for the shear it will be. So here you have simply supported reaction of the wheel load on the floor beams. Okay, so similarly by the ILDs, so 72.5 but for the other it will be more than that, and plus 17.5 for all of three wheel loads you have to be calculate. It will be triple 1.6. So keep this equivalent load with you. This is called equivalent load. Okay, W equivalent. This is the simply supported reaction of the wheel load on the floor beam, and you can calculate it by using the maximum movement effect by using the ILDs, influence line diagrams, okay, for the maximum movement. So this W equivalent will be the equivalent load that you have to be keep with you to shift or to be used, to be considered to apply in the lateral direction for the lateral distribution of the live load. Okay, so for the tandem load you have to do the same thing. Here you can get maximum effect by placing it in both ways. ठीक है, आप यहाँ पे भी place कर सकते हैं, यहाँ पे भी, because the bending moment diagram will be same in both of the direction. Okay, so it will be half of it, 110. It will be 55 for one wheel, 55 for the other wheel. So it is equal to 101.4 comes out to be. This 101.4 kilonewtons is much more, you can say, smaller as compared to tandem. So your tandem load is not critical. You are considering truck load as critical. So once from the longitudinal distribution, you get an idea that your truck load is more you can say critical. So in transverse distribution, that equivalent load calculated by the truck load analysis, you can use over here. So the figures shown coming in the next slides will show you the transverse distribution of the equivalent wheel loads. Now we will not going to be say it is wheel load. Now we have to add in word this is equivalent wheel loads on the floor beam to obtain the maximum bending moments. Reduction factor for the two lanes is 1. For our case, our number of lanes are 2. So our reduction factor will be 1. Multiple lane reduction factor. So placement we are well familiar. For the case when we have roadway width 5.4, starting from 5.4. So for this roadway width we have already 2 design lanes, and for 2 design lanes we are placing our axle load. This is now axle. Okay, this is the span of your floor beam, lateral direction. Okay, so if we are going to be draw in the 3D. Okay, so your stringers are running here above the floor beam. Okay, so this is the design lane, and here it is your vehicle. Okay, so here you have second axle, here you have third axle. So what you have done actually, that after the analysis in this particular direction, for each wheel load, 3 loads, you have calculated the equivalent vehicular load that you can apply on each wheel to consider it as an axle load in the lateral direction. Now if you will come in this direction, so that W equivalent you have calculated in the longitudinal distribution, that is going to be considered to be applied as an equivalent load on each wheel. Okay, so this is also W equivalent, this is also W equivalent. So wherever mean this axle, this axle, this axle, now there is no difference. This is uniformity. Whichever is the axle you are going to be placed on the floor beam now in this particular direction, okay, it will be the same thing. This wheel is also going to be give you the W equivalent value, and this is also going to give you the W equivalent value from the longitudinal distribution of the floor beams. The same load you are using in the transverse direction. Okay, so not the standard one. This is 111.6, this is 111.6. So this W equivalent is used now in the lateral direction for the lateral distribution. Okay, so once you are putting it over here, the spacing will be 0.6 from the center of the roadway, and you have to do the analysis. Now first you have to calculate the side reactions, okay, and then the moment you have to calculate. So this moment will be the simple bending moment that you can calculate, okay, by considering it simple beam, and the simple bending moment diagram you can plot and you can calculate. So finally, the transverse distribution of the equivalent wheel load on the floor beam to get the maximum shear force is shown. So similar you have to do for the shear. For the shear force, this is the standard criteria. You can also see in the figures, and also from you can take a reference from the AASHTO specifications. Okay, for the shear you have to apply the reactions on the extreme edge of the floor beam. Okay, considering the clearance, considering the this curve path. Okay, you may have barrier, you may have curve, and then here starting with the road. Okay, so in between you have 2 number of the lanes. Okay, so this distance should be 1.8 meters. We have discussed earlier. This should be 1.8 in between also. So you are placing your truck loads with the equivalent loads again for the shear also. Okay, so for the shear you are going to be placing it. This distance is also fixed. Okay, this distance is, sorry, not fixed. This distance you can calculate by yourself, because in between we are known with this is 1.8. So whatever left over distances you can calculate and you can write over here. It will be 1.45 meters. Now depending upon those, with simple shear force diagram you can calculate 285.3. Then rest is very simpler things. Just lane load, sidewalk load, loads will be left. So lane load is very simple, 9.3 into 7.6. It is only coming on the roadway width, 7.6. So it will be 70.68 kilonewtons. The transverse distribution of the above, this is longitudinal distribution, W equivalent you have calculated. Now this W equivalent 9.3 multiplied by 7.6 needed to be placed in the lateral direction to get the maximum bending moments in the floor beam in the lateral direction, the transverse direction. So for the lane load criteria is again from the roadway, mid of the roadway width, that you have to be considered this 70.66 kilonewton as for the lane load to be acting in the middle as a concentrated load for one lane. Okay, so if this is the effective lane considered, this is fictitious, imaginary we are drawing it, so this is not on scale, mean this distance of this part is not fixed, just we are interested in this part, that is the concentrated load as W equivalent. So this is the W equivalent, mean equivalent load, lane load we have considered in the lateral longitudinal direction, and now we are applying it in the lateral direction. Okay, so for the both of the lanes, if number of the lanes will be more, then these concentrated loads will be more. Okay, depending upon those. So in between distance will be the same, it will be 4.2 meters. Okay, so 3 plus 2, 3 on both of the sides. So it will be the standard and it will be fixed. So the lane load movements you can calculate similarly by considering the simple equations. So you are getting the 258.0 kilonewton meter. Similarly, the transverse distribution of the equivalent lane load to produce the maximum shear. For the shear case, this is the case when you are applying it. So lane load is this one. I have told you this block is not important. Your point of concentrated load is important. So lane load is now considered into converted into point load, and it is W equivalent lane for the lane load 70.68 and 70.68 similarly. Okay, that you have to be provided from the edge of the curve at 1.5 meters. Rest will be 0.9 and 0.25. And if the plate girder is used, I have told you it should be 0.35 or 0.40. So in this way, in between distance will be 3.6 meters. So shear you can calculate by yourself. Then sidewalk load forces. Sidewalk load forces, you are considering this curved path for that. Okay, because your footpath is on this curve. Okay, so this one is going to be considered. 0.9 is the width of the curve, 3.6 is the load you are considering, kilometer per meter square, 7.6 is the total span. So in this way you are going to be consider finally this 24.624 kilonewtons acting as a concentrated load on the center of the curve. So this distance is known to you, and keeping this, again you can draw the bending moment diagram to calculate these reactions for the shear. So for the sidewalk, you are calculating the shear and the moment depending upon the figure given in the last slide. Finally, the design forces. So you have already equation with you. So just what you have to do, you have to be input all of the values we have calculated earlier, and we have discussed in detail in stringer design about all of the factors coming here. So those same values are now with you and in the form of shear, in the form of moments. Just input over here and get an answer. Finally, your assignment is you have to design the floor beams. Okay, these beams, moment and capacity and shear capacity is now with you. So what you can do, you can go for the floor beam design, and for the plate girders only the proportionings are required. Okay, complete design is not required, only the proportioning of ठीक है. So you are well familiar with this proportioning. is that. So just till that particular part, okay, initial proportioning of your plate girder, that is required from you guys, okay. So similar you have to do for your design problem. For the design problem, complete plate girder design at the end is not required. You have to just do the proportioning of your plate girder, okay. So thank you so much guys for this design of structural steel subject, and best of luck for your final exams. Thank you so much.